Why come you hear the redcoats? Your mind with madness fills. In our valley there is danger, there's danger in our hills. Oh, hear you not the singing of the bugle wild and free? Full soon you'll hear the ringing of the rifle from the tree. For the rifle, in our hands will prove no trifle. You ride a goodly steed, you may know a better master. You forward come with speed, but you'll learn to back much faster when you meet our mountain boys and their leader Johnny Stark. Boys who make but little noise, boys who always hit their mark. For the rifle, in our hands will prove no trifle. Have you no graves at home across the briny water? But forward you must come, like bullocks to the slaughter. Ah, if we the work must do, then 'tis quicker 'tis begun. If flint and trigger prove but true, the sooner 'twill be won. For the rifle, in our hands will prove no trifle. Why am I singing a song about Vermont? It's because it is about the riflemen at Bennington who had a firm victory over Burgoyne. And it's about rifles. And that's what this place was about. Long Pond Ironworks, deeply vital to the Revolutionary War. It was here that the armaments and the implements were so important to the Continental Army. This is where they were made. And so today we are going to look at the story, the early history of Long Pond Ironworks, as seen through the songs of the people who worked and lived here. It all started 1766 when Peter Hasenclever came here, purchased all sorts of land, and then imported more than 500 European workers and their families, mostly German, and they are coming here to build a life. So, to honor them, we'll start with a German tune. On an instrument that is of German inspiration as well. It's the mountain dulcimer, and it's German settlers in Pennsylvania created it, invented it because they missed the zithers they'd left behind in the old country. So it'll be perfect here to bring back the German roots of this place. Musiden, zum Städtelein aus, und du, mein Schatz, bleibst hier. Wenn ich komm, wenn ich wiederum komm, kehr ich ein, mein Schatz, bei dir. Kann ich gleich nicht allweil bei dir sein, kann ich doch mein Freude um dir. Wenn ich komm, wenn ich wiederum komm, kehr ich ein, mein Schatz, bei dir. So of course they were singing German at first, but later perhaps they're changing their tune to a little song that had been written during the French and Indian War. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat, called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy, mind the music and the step with the girls behind you. And so they are here building a life out of wilderness. It's a wilderness again now, as you can see. This is what they came to, and they had to carve roads through this and build houses and farms and build factories and build forges. Tremendous amounts of work, living off the land, really, making do with whatever they had. And this song is about that. It is, and I'll play it by making do, because the only pick you had for a mountain dulcimer was a quill, a goose quill or a turkey feather for the picks. And this song about making things out of nothing. A farmer's pig dies of the measles, and he's not going to waste it. He's going to find find a use for every part of that pig. Make him do. Well, how do you think I began in the world? I got me a sow and several other things. The sow took the measles and she died in the spring. What do you think I made of her hide? Very best saddle you ever did ride, saddle a bridle or any such thing. The sow took the measles and she died in the spring. What do you think I made of her tail? The very best whip that ever sunk sail. Whip or whip sucket, any such thing. The sow took the measles and she died in the spring. What do you think I made of her nose? The very best thimble that ever sewed clothes. Thimble or thread or any such thing. The sow took the measles and she died in the spring. What do you think I made of her feet? The very best pickles you ever did eat. Pickles or glue or any such thing. The sow took the measles and she died in the spring. And so making do and yet creating an amazing place that became so important. And then once the forges and foundries are built, there's lots of blacksmiths around. And so I have a blacksmith song. There's lots of blacksmith songs, and they're all revealing the scalawags that they were, especially when it came to romance. A blacksmith courted me 9 months or better, and when he won my heart, he wrote me a letter. With his hammer in his hand, he looked so clever. And if I was with my love, I would live forever. Oh, where is my love gone? With his lips like posies, and his black tricorn hat on, decked round with primroses. I'm afraid the scorching sun will mar his beauty. And if I was with my love, I would do my duty. It's not what you promised me when you lay down beside me. You said you'd marry me and you'd not deny me. If I said I'd marry you, it was only to try you. So bring your witness on, and I'll not deny you. Witness have I none, save the Almighty, and He'll surely punish you for the slighting of me. Looking in the glass makes my poor heart tremble to think I loved a lad would prove deceitful. Strange news has come to town, strange news is carried, and now it's all the talk that my lovey's married. I wish them both much joy, though they can't hear me. I never will die for love, kind friends, believe me. Well, in 1771, there was a new ironmaster. He was a Scotsman named Robert Erskine. He took over, and he, of course, it's the early 1770s. He's feeling what is happening in this country, and he wants to make sure to protect the ironworks from the British. So he raises his own company of volunteers. They are forgemen and carpenters, from 40 to 75 of them, and they drilled right here as the revolution began. They're drilling right here in Long Pond. That tune before, as they protected this place from the British. Well, under Erskine, this place, as I said, provided arms and provisions of all sorts for implements for the Continental Army, and it even was brought the iron that was used to help fortify the Hudson River. You know, the British wanted desperately to get control of the Hudson. If they did, they could separate New England from the southern colonies, divide and conquer. They would have us if they could separate us. And so it was a struggle over the Hudson throughout the entire Revolution. And the Americans got busy and built a chain and a boom across the Hudson at West Point. The iron from here was part of the boom that was part of that chain to stop British ships from going upward. So again, this place provided exactly what was needed. Erskine met George Washington. Washington was very impressed. He saw what a brilliant man he was. He asked him to be his general surveyor. So on top of everything he's doing here, he is mapping out all the territory along the Hudson and helped Washington find his roots in the war. Well, the soldiers may have had, and did, thanks to Long Pond Ironworks, have the armaments, but it doesn't mean that they had clothes or food. Washington was extremely upset with how the colonial governors were not helping financially. And he wrote a letter from his Newburgh headquarters in 1781 to the governors. The aggravated calamities and distresses that have resulted to the soldiers from a total want of pay for nearly 12 months, the want of clothing at a severe season, and not infrequently the want of provisions, are beyond description. I give it decidedly as my opinion that it is vain to think that an army can be kept together much longer under such a variety of sufferings. Well, the French saw it too as they were about to embark on the march to Yorktown with us, and they're camped over here with us at Dobbs Ferry. So let's just hear the soldiers' conditions. Count de Clermont-Crevecoeur roams the camp, and he says he is stunned by the destitution. The men without uniforms, covered with rags, most of them barefoot. There it is, and there's many, many French observations of us in that condition. That's why soldiers needed a sense of humor. They were freezing, starving, and they needed to laugh about it. So luckily there were songs for them, like this one. A soldier dressed in rags, and a girl sees him, falls madly in love with him, tries to bribe him to marry her. Soldier, soldier, will you marry me with your musket, fife, and drum? How can I marry such a pretty girl as you when I've got no shoes to put on? So off to the shoe shop she'd go, fast as she could run. Running back, the finest that was there, the soldier put it on. Oh, soldier, soldier, will you marry me with your musket, fife, and drum? How can I marry such a pretty girl as you when I've got no coat to put on? Off to the coat shop she'd go, fast as she could run. Running back, the finest that was there, and the soldier put it on. Soldier, soldier, will you marry me now with your musket, fife, and drum? How can I marry such a pretty girl as you when I've got no hat to put on? Off to the hat shop she'd go, fast as she could run. Running back, the finest that was there, and the soldier put it on. Oh, soldier, soldier, will you marry me now with your musket, fife, and drum? How can I marry such a pretty girl as you, with a wife and 12 children at home? Ah, yes. Things don't change all that much. This is a song that helped them laugh at their terrible conditions. And so they needed songs like that a lot. Well, soldiers needed to dance also. And the people here, any community, dancing was the main entertainment. And that's why I have this instrument. This is the hammered dulcimer. Wooden hammers hitting strings. And it was perfect for the dances. Itinerant musicians would bring these into taverns, and then you could have a dance. Or if you had a fiddler in town, you definitely had a dance also. So let us hear what they might have danced here in Holland. What tunes? Perhaps this one, which was a very popular British dance tune called King George's Minuet. But and we loved the tune, but when the revolution happened, that title had to go. We called it Congress Minuet. Well, I happen to bring a dancer along with me, and he's just the thing for the end of the war. We're doing a lot of dancing. This is called the Limberjack. He's part toy, part instrument, and easy to play. And a great little ditty for him to dance to is one that was written by the soldiers on their march to New York. At the very end of the war, most of our soldiers are at New Windsor Cantonment. And in November, we know that the Treaty of Paris has been signed. The revolution is over. Our job is to march back down the Hudson, take New York City back. It had been occupied by the British the entire war. And so, with great glee, they did that on November 25th. This is the tune they made up on the journey. Doodle, 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 dandy, cornstarch rum, homemade brandy, Indian pudding, pumpkin pie, that'll make the Yankees fly. And every Yankee will have on his back great big pumpkin in a sack, a little molasses and a piece of pork, away the march straight for New York. Doodle, 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 dandy, cornstarch rum, homemade brandy, Indian pudding, pumpkin pie, that'll make the Yankees fly. Woohoo! There he is. Always a big hit. The Limberjack. Well, Robert Erskine had himself a sweetheart, his wife, Elizabeth. So let us imagine that he sang her a Scottish love song, perhaps one by none other than Robert Burns. My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. Spare art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love I would love you still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my love. Till all the seas gang dry. Ooh, I would love you still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry. Till all the seas gang dry, my love, and the rocks melt with the sun. Ooh, I would love you still, my dear, the sands of time shall run. So fare thee well, my bonny lass, fare thee well, and I would come again, my love, but 'twere 10,000 miles. Though 'twere 10,000 miles, my love, but 'twere 10,000 miles. Ooh, I would come to you, my love, but 'twere 10,000 miles. Robert Erskine did a beautiful job here, and he died on and was buried on 1780. George Washington came. It was that important to him. Well, this place, as we can hear from all the 18th century history we've been looking at, it's holy ground as far as I'm concerned. So I always like to end with a hymn to remind us of that and all of those lives that were here and did so much for our country in the service of what they did in these farmers. And so this is perfect because it is also by a Scotsman. John Newton, Scottish sea captain, who had been the captain of a slave ship. Didn't really think about it, just was doing his job, until one day at sea, a tremendous storm came up. And in the middle of it all, he had a vision. He was on his knees, praying, and he said, "Please let me live. I see the error of my ways, and I want another chance." In the morning, the seas were calm, and he had made it, and everyone had made it through that storm. And he was true to his word. He gave up the slave trade and spent the rest of his life writing hymns. And the most beautiful hymn he wrote, the most important one, was about that miracle that happened that day on that ship. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear